Good evening. This is the king of all mediums, and welcome to podcast number 10. Um, First of all, I'd like to welcome you. And wasn't a beautiful day today? Um, so I'd like you to, of course, subscribe to this podcast, like it, and of course, you could always email me at the greatjewatheist at gmail.com. Okay, so podcast 11 is a conclusion to the podcast I did yesterday, and that was about my opinion on drugs and alcohol. Very touchy subject. A lot of people are in the recovery movement, and there's a lot of probably people who would not agree with me. Someone with a substance abuse problem. Okay, right now I am clean. Have not used drugs or alcohol since August of 2020. The drug was alcohol. I had a few beers at the beach. So a review of part one is taking drugs or alcohol is about getting high. It's the easiest and the quickest way to get high, right? That's what we want to do. That's our actual goal, is to get high, right? It's not to take drugs or alcohol. We'd like to avoid that, but our goal is to get high. High is a pleasurable feeling, right? A feeling of escaping our normal consciousness, right? So we want to get high to escape the normal consciousness or everyday consciousness, to get an altered consciousness. We want to alter our consciousness some way. So we get high, and there's different ways. And where's my? Okay, I got that. And so we want to do that. Now, the easiest way, of course, to do this is to take drugs and alcohol. But there are other ways, of course, and they're not so easy. They're more subtle, like meditation, chanting, prayer, dancing, staying up for long periods of time, fasting, and they're much more subtle and much more difficult to do. Taking drugs and alcohol is much easier. Just drink a liquid. You just inject yourself with a dose of heroin, snort a line of cocaine, take smoke some crack or methamphetamine, and it's easier high. So, so the question becomes, and I've talked about my theory. Now, most people in the recovery movement says you must never ever, if you had a problem, you must never ever consider to go back to using drugs or alcohol. And of course, I don't agree. That's of course, and they'll scowl their anger. What are you saying? What are you saying? You have a business to run. So I believe it's up to the individual to decide his course. Now, you might decide that. You might decide that that's your path. My path is a little bit different. I have found that it took me a while to finally realize that I feel it's much better to make a conscious decision that drugs and alcohol, you're better off without them. And you don't need to go to these meetings. Most of the people I found, when you go to the meetings, they really want to use alcohol. It was an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting I went to, and it seemed like most of the people really still wanted to use the alcohol, and it wasn't. They were just using. They were just using willpower rather than thinking that it's better. You're better off not drinking. So that's the state I'm in. I think that it's better off not drinking. I don't need to go to these support groups because I believe it's better not to drink overall. Okay? But I always say to myself, I leave the door open. I never have a tyranny. I never say, you can never drink again. I never say that. I can say, maybe one day, I'm 62, I'm retired, have a beer or two. I don't know what it, maybe it's a bad idea. I don't know. I mean, I always leave the door open. I feel there's always a tyranny. You call yourself an alcoholic. I think that's terrible. I mean, it's an ex-drinker. I'm an ex-drinker. I'm an ex-pilot. I'm an ex, I'm an ex-rapper. I mean, like to me, these are, like to me, I always thought that, the word alcoholic is such a terrible label, or smoker. So let's say you smoke, you're a smoker. You always be an ex-smoker, a smokeaholic, You can never, they call you an ex-smoker. They don't call you a smokeaholic, like, so I think it's a really horrible system, and I'm very against it, especially the religious aspect. God, moral, it's something from the 30s, and it's almost 90 years old, 95, 85 years old. It's just a crackpot system, and it's a business too. It does work, Some people need it, and I just don't need it. Now, so the question then becomes, as a substance abuser, will I ever use drugs or alcohol again? And the short answer is maybe. I don't know. See, I always keep the door open. I might. I never have a tyranny. I never have this thing, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do it. Because if you say you can't do it, you're like, you can't tell me that. I'll do it. Fuck you. So I say, yeah, I could do it if I want to. But the evidence is overwhelming that it's a bad idea. Now, the short answer is maybe, and the next question is, why would, after such a terrible experience, would I consider using drugs or alcohol? And my depression, which we'll discuss in more detail, to end up staying in a mental hospital for 17 days, was committed, was caused, one of the diagnoses was alcohol-induced depression. She's saying, so why would you even fool with that? But I would say that I still am it's my life. I still have to make that decision, and the systems that are put in for recovery are not good because they take away that decision. They say, you have to do this. And I've seen this. I've been in these things, and these people, they're just, they're like robots, They're just so convinced that this works and that, and they don't think about it. They don't have alternate. I've seen some people there's this African woman that I really like. She kind of had a more balanced approach that you have to be more in control. You have to make the decision yourself. You have to, at some point, and that's what I thought. When I turned the corner, is I saw that really not drinking. I mean, the other drugs, I'm still, still not 100% on, but there are some that I'm 100% I'll never use again. So the first thing I say to myself, I feel that all drugs alcohol are not the same, and I've had positive experience using some, and negative experiences using others. So, right. So I've used a lot of drugs, and kind of a psychonaut. So I like a lot of people say, well, we have a substance abuse problem, but I feel that certain substances have given me positive experiences, and I've been able to control the experience, and others have given negative experiences, landed me in that mental hospital. Okay, so I think that's where I'm kind of coming up with in this conclusion, which, and I think everyone with a substance abuse problem and thinks like me and has an open mind says, well, maybe I could, possibly use a substance. Should think, which drug really got me in trouble, and which, maybe I'll use once in a while. Okay. Now, so let's go back to my chart. Okay, here it is. Oh God, it's not too good, but classes of drugs. Right now, two drugs that I think are extremely dangerous to me are 1 and 3. Okay, 3 is the worst, but 1 is bad too because 1 stimulants, except one exception on the stimulants, I think, is caffeine. Very light stimulant, and it really helps people get through the day. I don't know how. I mean, there's one doctor. He said, "Give up coffee," and I guess that means also soda. I don't know how you could do that. I really don't. I mean, some days you wake up, you're like a zombie, and it really helps you. I'm also on this drug called modafinil, which I did take this morning, and it's took 100 milligrams, and I was falling asleep at work, which was not a good thing. And some of it probably had to do with the drugs they gave me for my bipolar disorder. So, give a couple of drugs for your bipolar disorder, you might end up falling asleep at work, and this happened on multiple occasions. So, they gave me a modafinil, and so that's another stimulant that I would recommend. The caffeine in modafinil, but the Adderall and cocaine are not good stimulants. Methamphetamine is a very, very, very bad drug. Okay, because it can produce a high that people will continue to chase. And of course, cocaine and crack cocaine are terrible drugs, and I've used cocaine a lot. And when you try to come off, it's one of the scariest drugs because you think you're going to die. Now, in terms of health dangers, cocaine can also be bad too because I felt my heartbeat sometimes. I thought, this is it. This is the end of the. So cocaine is one drug I don't think I'll be using again. Ritalin is a drug I kind of like, but it's hard to come by. So I don't think we're going to be using that. So the only stimulants I probably would use that I don't think are dangerous are modafinil and the other drug, which is caffeine. Those are the only 2 drugs I would ever say are safe as stimulants. Now, number 3 is very, very dangerous, and I'm going to tell you why. Because especially benzodiazepines. Now, benzodiazepines could be useful if someone is under an extremely stressful circumstance, like a death of a loved one. A woman, that husband dies after 50 years of marriage or something. Maybe give her a prescription for about 2 weeks or something, and then maybe wean her off. But I don't know. But the psychiatrist he had me on it for 9 years. Not a good thing. And what are so dangerous about the benzodiazepines is, first of all, they have a really bad. Now, the benzodiazepine I was on was first Xanax, and then the second one was Klonopin. Now, the problem with benzodiazepines, okay, first, what are the positive things about them? They calm you down. And in fact, Xanax, I remember when I took them to clear your mind. Amazing. It's like, all that, one thing you don't realize when you go to your day-to-day things, your activities, is that your functioning is based a lot on how you're thinking. And if you're thinking you're very worried and you're nervous, you don't think well. You give someone Xanax and they think very clearly. You could function extremely well. You think very clearly. You can get a lot done. It's an amazing drug in that respect. Okay, so first I was on Xanax and then Klonopin, and this was given to me for 9 years. And the problem is I started taking a little more than I used to, and I used to run out at the end of the month. And sometimes I used to have to buy it from overseas, back when that was available, to supplement because I would run out. I would only have enough for 30 days, and it was just about 4 milligrams a day of Klonopin. And I used to take about 7 a day. So this started to cause a problem, and so the tolerance means the drug became less effective over time. The body needed more to develop the same effect. So basically, but within a week, with 7 days left, I had basically 1 or 2 milligrams left to last those 7 days. So me, as someone who did not drink that much. The only way I could get through the week was drink bottles of wine. I would come home and start drinking 2 to 3 bottles of wine a day until I could make it to the psychiatrist, get the prescription, and well, I somehow made it. And this became a big problem. That is part of the reason why I ended up in the psychiatric ward. Now, not only does benzodiazepine has this terrible problem of tolerance, but the second big issue, it creates another bad thing called, and by the way, it's changing your brain chemistry, so you really need them. And I'll tell you another terrible thing if you run out. But it also creates something called psychomotor retardation. In other words, laziness. Now, a word called laziness, but it's a real thing. Now, I'll give you an example. So I used to never want to do my laundry. So the laundry used to pile up really bad. And I used to keep buying more underwear. And I won't take showers in the morning. I think, when the bosses criticize, people, some of your clients are saying, start to smell. So what happened was, I buy more underwear. Okay, then I finally said, okay, let me try to do a laundry. But then in your mind starts to get really weird. It starts to say, oh, but I don't have any laundry detergent. But then I got to go up the hill and get laundry detergent because there's a store up the hill where we get laundry detergent. But then I got to get the laundry detergent, and then I get a lot of clothes because I never did laundries. And then I got to separate. I got to take the clothes down to the laundry. Oh, and then when you go to the laundry, there's tons of people. It might not be a machine. That's a pain in the ass. And all these weird thoughts come. And something as not terribly difficult as doing a laundry becomes a Herculean task. So this is one of the really bad things of Klonopin. Okay, this is one of the really bad things of Klonopin and other benzos, okay? And another really horrible thing, okay, so what led to Klonopin, actually, interesting enough, I started to buy Xanax from a legal source, because I used to buy it before, and then all of a sudden, I remember I made this deal with this guy, he was a little crazy, he got upset that I wasn't giving him enough money, so I bought a whole bunch of pills, and I didn't realize I would run out, so I ran out, and I had an appointment with the doctor. He saw us shaking, but he didn't realize what the problem was. And when you run out of the withdrawal from any benzo, especially Xanax, is terrifying. Your body feels like it can't move, and it's thinking, what do I get? Where do I get it? Where do I get it? How do I relieve? How do I relieve? I remember I was finally I went, my primary care saw me. He said, I'm going to give you a little Xanax to calm you down. I was like, thank you. So I remember the day I got the prescription. I went to this pharmacist, and it was the same day that Farrah Fawcett died, and then Michael Jackson died. It was the same day. And it was such a terrifying day. I can't tell you. It is one of the worst withdrawals in the world. So I actually went from tremendous amounts of Klonopin to no Klonopin. And this is the most terrifying drug you could ever have. Now, my alcoholism began because, again, I would run out of Klonopin towards the end of the month, and I would drink alcohol to supplement it. Okay? Another bad thing about Klonopin and alcohol, so, you got this combination. Now I had this combination going. I would run out of my Klonopin, and I would drink alcohol to make it. But then I started to drink 2 to 3 bottles of wine a day. Especially the weekend, I would up to 3 or 4. I wouldn't leave any alcohol in the house, but I would go up to the hill, and the people, they would notice. The Korean would notice. She would start selling, so I'd buy beer instead. And it got really bad. And then the really bad depression started. The depression was nothing like I ever experienced. It was just, I wouldn't go to work. I couldn't face the world. It was just horrible. This started about a year and a half before my suicide threat. So, these drugs are extremely dangerous. So 1 in 3 are really, really bad. Stimulants except for let's say caffeine and modafinil and depressants such as alcohol and Clonopin or any other benzos are extremely dangerous. Now, would I ever drink alcohol again? The answer is maybe. The only, I mean, I did have a very pleasant experience with my friend at the beach. I had like 3 or 4 Heineken. That was the last time I drank, and I did enjoy it. So, could I do it again? I don't know. I don't think my life is in that type of place. The only reason why the alcohol got it so out of control, to stop my, stop those terrible systems from Clonopin. Okay, so of course the AA would say, "Oh, you're going to," no. I say I don't agree. That's why it happened. It wasn't like my life is now my life is in a good position now. So I don't think that was it. People don't realize I didn't become an alcoholic. I was having been an alcoholic for a long time. It just happened because of the addiction to Clonopin. They don't understand. Never had a problem with alcohol. Never really enjoyed it that much. So that's the only reason why I took it. So I mean, I could always have a drink or two, never gone crazy, but I'd like to avoid it. But so at this point, I'm saying maybe, maybe not. But maybe in a future podcast we'll discuss more about alcohol and okay, opiates. Now, opiates, I have never really had a problem with. I got them illegally. I had a friend. I had this guy, this maintenance man in the school I used to teach at. He used to get me them. I used to also get them from overseas. I used to crush up the pills. They had a method to get rid of the Tylenol because that's really the dangerous part. The codeine isn't that dangerous. It really doesn't do much to you. Your body has codeine. They're called endorphins. But the problem with this stuff is, again, it has heavy tolerance, and you need more and more of a dose, and it's addictive. But I wasn't too bad with it. I would run out, and once it was gone, there were no withdrawal symptoms to me. I used a little heroin. I used to snort it. This heroin did have a little withdrawal. It felt kind of weird. I remember I had Saturday, and then I had a pleasant, nice, dreamy sleep. I ran it, and then I remember Sunday into Monday felt a little weird. So, it had. I really enjoyed it. I remember every year, not every 2 years in a row, every summer I would watch Apocalypse Now Redux on some codeine, like heavy codeine. So, would I do that again? Maybe. Hallucinogens, well, I really never did one. I think I did a third of a hit of acid at my high school, the last day of school. But nothing much there, and a little scared of LSD. They have ayahuasca. I had a friend did that. He said, I'll never do it again, but it was a great experience. I don't know what that means. Dissociatives, I have DXM. Basically, you drink a bottle of cough syrup. That's the lowest level. You don't go, it's just only ingredient, but if you're ever going to do it, make sure it only has dextromethorphan, no other ingredients. They have this, I forget, it begins with a G, an ingredient, so you don't want to do that. Inhalants, I never huffed or anything like that, airplane glove. And pathogens, I tried a Molly, but it didn't really do much to me. And I know I was able to do some self-romance. And they say one thing if it's effective, it's not going to work, so that's how I know. So that's pretty much how I feel. The one drug I probably need to avoid at all costs is Clonopin, because if I ever get into that again, then we got a problem, Alcohol, I'm not that afraid of, to tell you the truth. People say, oh, you're an alcoholic. I don't feel I am, and the people say, no, you're just in denial, and I never really had a problem until I got Clonopin. I had to stop the withdrawal, and the only way I knew how to do it was the alcohol. So that's how I feel. I feel that now, in terms of, do I want to drink? No, not right now. My life's going good. I don't miss feeling, shitty the next day. I like waking up. It's nice. I don't have the dizziness, the headaches. Who needs it? So I enjoy not having to drink. It's nice. So at this point, I'm very happy. I'm not drinking since August. And that's 6 months. I thought it was 9, but 6. Very content with the way things are going. So why ruin it? I mean, who needs it? Who needs it? The only thing I'm kind of missing is that beach drinking. I did enjoy those Heinekens. Oh, one more thing marijuana. Never really liked it too much, especially the smoke. The smoke is really nasty. The only thing I'm interested is the gummies. I might partake in one of those one day because just a little. I've had good highs on marijuana. Most of them, many of them, though, are paranoia. Just the smell and the. It's not a fun experience. So maybe a gummy. That's the only. When they say marijuana, to me, it's more of a hallucinogen. Then it's like the end of the thing I read. It was its own separate category, right? But in pathogens, MDMA, MDA. But today it's only ecstasy or mollies. But marijuana might be one drug, but I only use it in terms of a gummy. So that's how I feel. I mean, I don't feel this stringent. Got meetings, and key to my life is staying in cells. Stay away from women. They just cause all the problems. They cause all your stress. The money, and then you get attached to them, and they leave your ass and start sleeping with someone else. Who needs it? Who needs it? Who needs it? Okay, let's go to the finds today. And this is nice. I had, my sister, I think, had this as a kid. Steppenwolf Monster. What a great album. It's funny, it's a lot of Dave Marsh that he said, "Oh, a horrible album." The song Monster is a great song. It's 3 parts. Monster, Suicide, America. It's a long song. Reel-to-reel tape. Wow, amazing. Look at this. How can you not love this? Look at this. Beautiful. Reel-to-reel tape. Can't wait to play it. Draft Resistant, good song. Power Play, great song. Move Over, Fag. I don't remember. It goes, what would you do if I did that to you? Hey. And the last song, From Here to There, Eventually. That's a great song. Great album. I don't know what is wrong with that guy. It's a horrible album. What is wrong? Do I hear the same thing? Is that basically he's upset with the lyrics? He thought the lyrics. Who cares about the lyrics? It's great music. Steppenwolf Monster. I think it's from 1970. It's a great album. And here's a book my brother had. The one that won't give me his Rolleiflex. Okay. Total Fitness in 30 minutes a week, not 30 minutes a day. I kind of like this guy's philosophy. And I always thought this, not always, but I see a lot of people work really hard. You're not going to be a bodybuilder. Obviously, if you're a bodybuilder, you got to work extremely hard to, but let's say you want to go on a diet and lose weight. Now, a lot of people, what do? They go and they get a trainer and they work out. And, but here's the problem. I always thought, I'm not always thought, but I thought, Gary Taubes is one of the guys that introduced the idea. If you're going to work out hard to lose weight, you're going to get hungry. And to me, the most important thing in weight loss is not to be hungry. So basically, this guy says kind of the same thing. He said, and also lose weight slowly. Think about it. If you could lose a pound a week for 10 weeks, you've lost 10 pounds, and that's pretty good. And in terms of fitness, you only have to do 10 minutes 3 times a week. So my theory is just little things. Like for instance, I used to have 4 eggs. With my morning. I have 3 eggs. So just a little less. A little less of everything. Just cut out little bits and lose a pound a week. And if it's 20 weeks goes fast, right? I'm going to go from 220 to 20, if I could do it, of course. So I'm going to go from 220 to 200 right? And that's all I need, right? I believe the next item, 8-track tape, The Dream Police by Cheap Trick. Yeah, so I was able to get a good deal on this. And what does this have on it? The Dream Police. They're going out of my head. Voices you didn't know what you were looking for until you heard your voices in my head. The Way of the World, that's a good song. The House is Rocking with Domestic Problems. It's funny, to fill out the tape, they had to include this. It's actually on track 2, but it's also, I don't know if you can see, on track 4. So they had to put it on 2 tracks to fill out the tape. I'll Be With You Tonight, that's a good song. Gonna raise hell, gonna raise hell. Writing on the Wall, House of Rocking, Domestic Problems, also again on track 4. Need Your Love, great, yeah, really good. One of they're probably fine. Cheap Trick's probably a final or last great album. I think George Martin was the producer on this. So it's also Dolby. I don't know they had Dolby with 8 tracks. I guess you could get a Dolby 8-track tape. And the last, although I do have more. So I just want to, I just want to make sure I don't run out, because I figured out I have to cut down, and so I want to save up a lot so I can cut down. So I do have a few more items today to show, but I want to cut down so that I don't have to buy as many. So I'm going to cut down to 4 items a day. This, I believe, is the Association first album. This is called, and then along comes the Association, right? And along comes the Association. It's in stereo, right? Classic album. Could have bought the greatest hits, but I wanted, again, I'm trying to buy more albums, not greatest hits. Associated is probably a group that lends itself to a greatest hits, but yeah, I also try to do that with CCR. They're more of a greatest hits group, but I said, hey, maybe listen to their LPs. It'd be interesting. There's only problem with 2 songs of note on this. The last track on the first side is called Alone Comes Mary, a great song. And then the first track on the second side, Cherish. And the rest of the songs I have not heard, so that should be interesting. And so it's a really interesting looking album. Phyllis Barres of Teen Magazine wrote the liner notes over here. So you don't get, this is why albums are so great. You just don't get this with iTunes. You just can't get it. Some people think musicians know where many would think the Association. So it tells you who the Association are. And who are they? Harder rock than the Raiders, but more folk music than the Kingston Trio. Whatever your choice, one thing is certain, the Association will be on top of Music Heat for a long time to come. Well, dude, I don't know about that. I think that lasted like 3 years. What is this album here? It came out I think the Association maybe was 2 years, 67, 66, 67. But a classic album. You can't not like this. How could you not? Especially if you're a fan of classic things. So, yeah. So that's it for today. All right. So I think tomorrow, so this is podcast 10. And so I think tomorrow I'm going to take a little break from the podcasting. And, Wednesday, I wanted to do the podcast. Basically, the rules are 4 things I do a podcast. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. But we'll see. But I think tomorrow I'm going to take a break. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I will do podcasts. And then Sunday, of course, I never do a podcast. So I'd like to thank everyone. And, one last thing I want to mention before I go. I bought I noticed some of the podcasts, the sound is not good because I'm using either an iPhone microphone or a MacBook microphone. So coming shortly, I'm going to have a nice microphone, and you will hear me very nicely. So That will be coming soon. So stay tuned. One thing you could say about me, I am always improving. I am always trying to improve, make things better. I never stagnate. It's like how these idiot woke assholes, they got mad at me. They're saying, "Oh, you only got 216 followers, and you don't have any content." Hey, look, I put a lot of effort into this. I have a vision. Okay, the vision might not be that great, but I have a vision. I have different, medium. I'm getting a Blu-ray. I got DVDs. I have a vision. They don't have any vision. You know what their vision is? Complain about Trump. Complain about Ted Cruz. They don't have any vision. They just complain about shit. They have no fucking vision. They have nothing. And I like to say you're good people because you have a vision. You have a vision. You have a vision. You're good Americans. They're assholes because they have no vision. They have no vision. I have a vision and you have a vision. We have a vision what America's about, and they don't have vision. The only vision they have is complain, complain, complain. They want to they want to give reparations. They want to what else do these assholes want to do? So they have no vision. I have a vision. I want to make a good podcast. I want to, on my site at Hip Dave's Lounge. I want to entertain people. I want to have polls. I want to make it exciting as possible. When you come on, I want you to every day say, okay, what's Hip Dave got today? What's Hip Dave's Lounge? I'm in a lounge. He's gonna have something interesting today. Because I'm always thinking, how can I make this better? How can I make this better every day? And I think you enjoy it. You go to my surveys. You go to my every day. I upload 3 things. If you want, you come. You see the podcast. I show you what's new. And I'm always thinking, how can I make this better? And these assholes, they come and they get upset. They say, you have nothing. You have nothing. You only have 216 followers. I don't really care how much followers I got. I could probably get more followers. I even thought of ways. I could probably go, classic rock, follow them. Maybe I'll do that. I'll get, 100 or 200 or 3. I could do that. But, it doesn't matter much to me. I would rather have, I've seen a lot of good, it's the person that's followed me since the beginning. She's a great woman. Carol Wooten, C Wooten 23, follow her at C Wooten. Great person, great woman. And she's followed me from the beginning when I was at Hippie Dave 69. She followed her. She's a terrific woman. She's a patriot. And why don't you follow her? She's a great woman. She's a hardworking woman, and she's someone that everyone should follow. All right. Well, I thank you for the podcast, and have a good night. And maybe I'd like doing this. I'm going to do another one tomorrow. Evolution willing. All right. So have a good evening. Take care.